Okay, welcome back to the Bioinformatics Coach channel. So today is going to be another episode for my series on Python for bioinformatics. So today's tutorial, we are going to look at dictionaries. So dictionaries are one of the data types in Python. Okay, so it's a data type. So dictionaries are an ordered collection of items. And a dictionary comprises of a key value pair. So the key is used to look up the values. So take that as like an ID. So you have an entry, or let's say you are a student. Every student has an ID. Okay, so that ID number, when you search for that ID in the database, then the information about that student will come up. So in a dictionary, the key becomes sort of an ID, and then the value becomes the information that you want to search for. So just take it along that line. So with dictionaries, it's advised to have a unique key. Yeah, so basically with a key value pair, you always have one key for a particular value. So if you change the value, then whenever you use that key, then is this the different value that will be reflected. So just take a look at that. So the keys are unique. So that means that in additional objects, there will always be a unique key. So one key per entry. So with dictionaries, we can create dictionaries using this approach here. We can place the key value pair in curly brackets like what I have here. And then we can also create an empty dictionary. We will go through all of these. There's a practical section, so we'll go through all of these. And then we can also create empty dictionaries using these approaches. And then with the classical dictionary objects, the items are unordered. So if you want an ordered key value pair, or if you want the key value pairs to be displayed in the same manner or in the same sequence as you added them in the dictionary, then you have to use the order index. We will go through all of these things here. And then one application of dictionaries in bioinformatics is that it can be used to identify complementary sequences. So if you have a sequence and you want to find the complements, then with the help of dictionaries, things can be made very easy. We are going to look at this, so just stay tuned and watch. We are going to look at how to use dictionaries to get the complementary sequences. It's going to be a good activity, so just stay tuned and then just enjoy. And the notebook for this tutorial, the codes and the notebook, I'll be making it available. I'll make it available on my Patreon channel. So at the end of this live stream, I'm going to put the link there that I can use to download it. If you also have any issues, you can always send me a mail and then we can have a session. Some people have been requesting for one-on-one sessions. So if you want a one-on-one tutorial, you can contact me and then we can arrange one. Okay, so without further ado, let's start the exercise. I will proceed now. So in the notebook, yeah, I've summarized everything here. So if you are the impatient, you can quickly come here and then just check these things and then just implement them. But we will go step by step because some of my viewers are beginners. So it's advisable I take it one step at a time. So welcome to the world of programming. Okay, so we will start with this one here, which is creating additional objects. I've already described it here, but we will do it here. So with dictionaries, you can create an empty dictionary. So this is how we do it. You can create an empty dictionary by using this. Let's say dict1. And by the way, so this word DICT, this a reserved word, so you don't have to use it. It's for dictionary objects. So make sure you don't use this in any of your codes. It should be used if you want to create a dictionary from another object. So don't use this keyword. If you want to use this word, you can add one, or you can say my dict, whatever, but just make sure this DICT, you don't use it anywhere in your codes. Okay, so I'll just use this. I'm going to create an empty dictionary. So I'll use my dict, that's the variable name, and I'll say equals, and then I'll bring my curly bracket. So this is an empty dictionary. That's how we create an empty dictionary. So this is empty. So if I make the query, my dict, it's empty. So if it's an empty dictionary, then you only find the curly brackets being displayed for you. We can also use this approach where we specify the DICT, which I made mention is a reserved word. So I can just say my dict and I'll say dict, and I'll issue this. So this is also another way to create a dictionary. And in this instance, we are creating an empty dictionary. So I can say my dict like this, and I'll get it here. I use the same variable name, but you can change them. You can go all out because this is a programming environment, so you can just also change the variables, the names of the variables, and then just see what happens. But I'll just keep it simple. Okay. And you should also know that if you have this name here, and then I use it again here, for example, then this becomes a new value. So that means you lose the information here. So if you don't want that, then you can always use a different name for it. Okay, so let's continue. Let's see if you have some charts. Okay, I think I have some people joining, so they can just follow along. If you have questions too, you can place it in the chat box and then I'll try to answer them. Okay. And if you don't have a Python environment, you can use a Google Colab platform. I've covered that in a number of tutorials. So just go to Google Colab and then you have a Python environment that you can use to follow. Okay, let's continue. Now we have created an empty dictionary. Now let's look at how to create a non-empty dictionary. Okay, so it's getting interesting and fun now. So for a non-empty dictionary, we have to add a key value pair. So let's just create one. Let's do this. Let's say info, or let's say my info. So to create a non-empty dictionary, there are different approaches. I'm going to cover them here, all of them here. I think I have some here. I'll cover them. So this is one approach. So we'll bring our curly brackets, and then you bring out key value pair. So let's say we want to create a database for maybe a student, or let's say, yeah, let me even use this channel here. So this a bioinformatics channel. So I want to look at maybe the topics that I cover. So I will just say, let's say name. So this is the name of the channel. So this is a key. And then the channel name becomes bioinformatics coach. This is a key value pair. So a key value pair, okay, different key value pairs can be added here. So for a pair like this one, if I want to add another entry, I have to bring a comma, just as we did with the lists. You separate the items with a comma. So I bring a comma, then I can add another key value pair. So this time, let's just say, let's add another one. Let's say age of channel. I mean, my channel is about 2 years old. Yeah. So let's say age. Let's say 2 years. Let me use 2. So let's say, let's add another item. Let's say topics. Yeah, I'll use this to explain something. So I'll bring a string topics, and then I'll now bring a list. So with dictionaries, you can place in strings, you can place in lists, you can place in other data, you can even place in dictionaries as well. So that becomes nested, but we are taking it simple. So here I'll introduce another data type, which is list. I've covered lists in details, so you can check my previous live stream. I covered that. I'll also leave the link in the description box when this live stream is done. So topics, let's say programming, let's say genome assembly. Let's add another one. Let's say metagenomics. Let me just try to reduce the size so that we can get everything done. Okay, let's say genome assembly. Okay, yeah. Or let me just say genomics. Simply put, like this. Let's see if this one should be fine. Yeah, this one should be fine. Genomics. And then I bring my square brackets here to end it. Okay, so that becomes my dictionary. So once I'm done, I'll have to bring in my curly brackets, which is already here, and then everything is sorted out. Here, let me just change it. I want to make sure everything is on one line. Let's say Linux. Let's do it this way. Let's keep it simple. So these are some of the topics that I cover in this channel. So I have my dictionary here. The variable is my info. Name, bioinformatics coach. Let me add the S here. Age, 2 years. Topics, Linux, dynamics. Yeah, so this is a non-empty dictionary. So my info will give me that. Let's create another one. There's a bioinformatics channel. So let's create another non-empty one. So let's say my info. And this time, let's do this. Let's use the nucleotides. Let's say, let me just say complements. We know that what A is to what? Let's say A, let's say AT T A C. These are examples. You can always change them. Let's say C. G. Let me use uppercase here. Let's check something here right now. Let's check. See if we have some messages coming up before we continue. Let's see. Let's check. Let's check. Okay, I think we don't have any messages here, so we can we can continue. Okay, so let's proceed. So we have the dictionary. Let me just check here. We have the dictionary, and then let me switch back to the dictionary. So I have my, let's say A complement is T, T is A, G is C, C is G. Okay, so I have something like this. So this is also a dictionary. So complements, and then I have it this way. So there's another way, because we have our bases, and then these bases have their complements. So we can always do that. So this becomes a dictionary. So it is from this principle that we are able to create, or we are able to find the complements of sequences. So we will do that as we move along. So this is another one. Let's try another one. Let's see. Values. We can let's try another one here. Let's see. A. Or let me just use scores. Yeah, scores will be better. Scores. Let's say player 1, 20. Player 2, 45. This also a dictionary. So scores. I have my dictionary object. So this becomes the key. Always the key comes first. This is followed by the value. So take note of that. So the key first and then the value. That's how it should be. Okay, so this is a dictionary object. Now with what we have here, let me just do this. Let me make a query of my info again and see. Okay, so we have these ones here. Now, sometimes when we are making queries, I repeat, sometimes when we are making queries in dictionaries, then the keys will be displayed for you in an unordered fashion. That means that maybe let's say we have this, for example, at one time, if let's say you are querying for the keys, at one time player 1 will be displayed, as another time player 2 will be displayed. Okay, so let me just do that here for us to see. Let's say scores.keys. This player 1, let's say scores.keys. Let's see if this one will work. Let's try this. My info.keys. Okay, that one's also done for us. Okay, yeah, so sometimes at the moment everything is in order, but there are situations whereby whenever you make these queries, you have the keys being displayed differently for you. So they will not be in order. Sometimes age will come first, sometimes topics will come first, sometimes name will come first. So if you want to preserve this order, then it's advisable to use an ordered dictionary, which is here. That's what we are going to cover next. Let me try this once again and see if it will give us what I was looking for. Okay, same, it's returning it to us in the same order, but that's fine. But in case the appearance or the displaying is not in order, okay, then to preserve the order, you can use an ordered dictionary object, which is here. So to create an ordered dictionary, let's say my OD, you say ordered dicts. Then this will create the ordered dictionary for you. So this is how we create dictionaries. Okay, so there's an ordered dictionary. Okay, there's an empty dictionary, by the way. We will look at how to add items. I think I'll add that also here. Now let's look at how to create a dictionary from lists, which is also here. That is this one here. Dictionaries comprise of key value pairs. So if you are going to create a dictionary from list, that means you should have two lists. So let's look at this situation. Let's say we have, I'm going to use these ones. Let's say we have names. Yeah, I think I'll use names here. That will be better. I have, let's say, Michael. Let's also have this one, Kobena. Let's say Kwame. These are Ghanaian names. Let's say Nancy. So these are names. This is a list. Let's say their respective ages. We have, let's say, 19, 25, 35, let's say 20. So if you want to create additional objects from these, from the list here, we have two. So this is the key, this is the value. Then you should make sure that the number of items or the number of elements in both lists are the same, because that is critical, because we have to do the pairing and then that will give us our key value pair. So if you have it like this, then what you can do is to now use the zip function. So the zip function will pair them for us. So the zip function will pair them. So the first elements here will be paired to the first one in this other list. So second here, second, third, fourth, in that order. So to create a dictionary from lists, and you can say dicts, you bring your brackets and you say zip, and you bring your hots, names, ages. So whatever comes first becomes the key, and the next one becomes the value. So if you take it like this, you get your dictionary. Now we can assign this operation to a variable. So I can say my dict2, and I can bring it here. So now if I say my dict2, I'm going to get my values, my key value pairs. Okay, so everything has been displayed. So we have Michael, which is number 1, first, age is 19. So it's paired in that order. So that will give us a dictionary. We can also create a dictionary using what we call dictionary comprehensions. Now, this approach as well as this approach, if you're a beginner, I will advise not to start with these ones. I will advise you to start with the earlier ones I made. These ones are for intermediate and advanced users. So it's just for you to know that there are different approaches to create a dictionary object. But for this and this, if you're a beginner, I wouldn't bother much to learn these ones. Start with whatever I've given now, and if you are used to it, if you become used to it, you become conversant, then you can switch to these other ones. I mean, they all have situations where they can be used in the appropriate way. Now let's look at it. Let's look at the create a dictionary using dictionary comprehensions. I will do that now. Okay, so I will try with this one. I'll just do one example here because it's just for you to know that there are different approaches. It's just for you to know there's this approach. So I wouldn't go into detail because I wouldn't want this to confuse my beginners. So I'll do this. So it's simple. Let's say my Dictionary. Because so in the dictionary, you first have to bring your brackets, your curly brackets, of course. And you can say A is to B for A, B in zip names ages. So let's run this. So this one, once I do my Dex3, I'll have that also done for me nicely. So this is what you call dictionary comprehensions. Okay, this one I'm only doing it one because I just want to show you this approach. But as a beginner, I wouldn't advise you to use this because you may end up getting confused. So don't start with this one. I repeat, this is just for you to know. But start with the ones I've shown previously. These ones here. And then once you are conversant, then you can switch to these ones. I mean, these ones are also faster, but anyway, let's proceed. So let's look at the next one. I'll add that here. I think I forgot to do it. Let me add this one. We are going to look at these ones first. I think I'll do that here. Let me see. Okay, I think I'll skip that. I'll put that in the next one. After this one, I'll do that. Okay. So what we are going to do next is to look up items in a dictionary. The dictionary contains information, but then how do we extract that information? How do we make queries? If let's say I have this dictionary, which is a database, I want to find the age of Michael, or I want to get the age of Kobina, or for the scores, I want to get a score for player one. How do we do this? This is where the lookup items in dictionary comes in. So we will start. So first of all, let's look at how to get the number of items. That is key value pairs. Because if you have a dictionary, you would like to know the number of items there because sometimes you would like to know and then you will use that information for something else. So let's look at how to do that. So to get the number of items, so in a dictionary, items refer to a key value pair. So to get the number of items, you can say len. And let's just create this dictionary again. Let's use, I'll use this one again. Let me go back here. I'll create this one again. If I want to get the number of key value pairs, I'll say len. I'll give complement, that's the dictionary objects. So that'll give me 4. So this is how we get the number of items, that is key value pairs. So the len function will do it for you quickly. Let's see if we have some messages. I don't think we have messages yet. Let's see. No, I don't have any message as well. Let me check. Let me check. Okay, I don't think we have any message, so we can continue. Let's see. Okay, so we have done this one. That is how to get a number of items. That's key value pairs. Now let's look at how to get all the keys in a dictionary. Sometimes you would like to find out all the keys in a dictionary. So how do we get all the keys in a dictionary? We will do that here. I'll put that here. So again, okay, this time I'll switch to another dictionary object here. Let me use this one here. Yeah, I think this should be better. Let me check here. I had one with my info. Let me check and copy that one. Let's see. Yeah, I'll copy. Okay, I think I'll use this one here rather. It should be somewhere here. Let's check. Let's check. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Where we had the name, age. Yeah, the names and then ages. Okay, this one here. Okay, I think this is my dex2. I'll just copy this. Yeah, I'll just do it straight over here. Okay. So how to get all the keys? So first of all, let's look at creating a dictionary. So let me just say my index2 equals, and then I'll paste this there. Now let's make this realistic. Let's say these are students. So student info. Let's use this one here. So I have this. So if I want to get all the keys, then I can say students info dot keys. So this will give me all the keys. So I have, so here the keys are all the names. So if we were to use IDs, then the IDs will be returned to us. So we have Michael, Kwabena, Kwame, Nancy. So these are the keys. So that means these keys, these are the ones we will use to do the lookup. If you want to search for information, then this is what we do. We are going to do the lookup very soon. So this gives us the keys. Now the complements too, if you add the complements, let's just copy it here. So if I want the keys, that becomes what? Complement dot keys. So that will give us what we want here. Okay. Now let's proceed. So that's how we get the keys. Now what are our values? If you want to get values, it's the other way around. So instead of dot keys, we will use dot values. So again, I'll recreate everything here. So that those who have joined now will still get to appreciate. So I'll say complements. If I want to get the values of a dictionary, then it becomes complements dot values. This is now the dictionary of interest. So this will give us the values. I have the keys here. Okay, yeah, so these are the values. Yeah, let me just do it here again. Okay, yeah, so that's what we are. So this is how we get the values for a dictionary. So we'll get all the values. So here, that's what will be given to us. Let's try with this one here, which is also cool. So I have the student info. If I want to get all the values, so let's say these are the ages. So if I want to get all the ages without bringing or without displaying the keys or the names, it's student info dot values. So this will give me the the ages or the values or scores or whatever information you have there. So this is how we get all the values. Now, if you want to get all the key value pairs, then let's try this. If I want to get all the key value pairs, I'll just copy and paste this command again. Then we use .items. So here we use .keys, we use .values. We can also use .items. That will give us the key value pairs. So we can just say student info .items. So that will give us the key value pairs. So we have key value, key value, key value. You can assign the operation to a variable as well. So if you are writing a code, a pipeline, then you can assign them to variables and then use those values later on. So that's how we get the key value pairs. Now let's continue. Let's proceed. How do we check for the presence of a key? We will do that here. Okay, so to check for the presence of a key, I can just use my in. So I can just say, let's look at this one again. So to get to check for the presence of a key, I can just make mention of the key. So I can say Michael in student info. So it's true because there's Michael here. There's Michael here. What about bioinformatics in student info? What do we get? We get false because there's no key by that name. Okay, so that's one way to do it. You can also say, let's say, Michael in student info dots is. Let's try this. Yeah, Michael in student info, because student info dot keys will give us everything here. So we are only checking for what's this in this, and it's true because we have there's Michael here. If you do for bioinformatics, it's false because there's no bioinformatics in this dictionary. So that's how we check for the presence of a key. There's another way that we will look at very soon. Now let's proceed. Let's check how to get the value of a key. So you have your dictionary, you have lots of information. You want to look for the age of Kobana. This one here, you want to look for the age. What is the age? Then let's recreate it. So then if you want to get the value of a key, you have to first indicate your dictionary objects. Then you bring a square bracket. And then you indicate your key. So here it's Michael. And then you execute the command. So this will return the value for you. This is how we get it. Now let's try the complements. It's a bioinformatics channel, so it wouldn't be complete if we don't apply it in bioinformatics. So complements, what is the complement of A? So that'll be what? Complement A. That will give us T. Complement of A. So complement of T will be what? A. You can do for J and C as well. So just try your hands and then everything will be fine. Okay. Now with dictionaries, you can also use numbers as keys. It doesn't have to be always strings. Using this as an example. You can also use numbers as keys. So you just need to know what information you want to create, and then you can use the appropriate key value pairs. This is an example. So I expect that you try to change things, modify things, and then I mean, this is an experiment, by the way, so just modify it, go all out, and then just see what happens. Okay, so this is how we get a value of a key. Okay, so now let's proceed. Let's do this first. Let me add this. I forgot to add it. I'll add it and then we can do it. Okay, so how do we add entries to a dictionary? Okay, so let's do this. Let's create, we already have some dictionaries here. I think we have some here. I'll just do it because we are already used to this one. So I have my student info here. This is a dictionary. Let's say there's a fifth student. Now we have 4 students here. We want to add a 5th student. So in that case, we call our dictionary like this. We bring a square brackets and then we add the key. So when we add the key, let's add the key. Let's add another one. Let's see. Amma. That's a name, another Ghanaian name. Equals, and then let's add, let's say Amma is 22. So we'll add it here. So it has been added. So now if I query, let's say student info. Now the entries here are very small. The number is small, so we can display all of them. I'll have Amma also here. And so I can also query for Amma. I can look it up. So the difference between this and this is that when you issue the command like this, that means you are looking for an information. You are looking for the value that has been assigned or that has been mapped to this key. But if you bring the equal sign, that means that you are assigning a value to this key. And so what this also means is that you can use this same approach to overwrite or to modify an information here. So let's say we made a mistake. Amma is, instead of 20, so Amma is, let's say, 20. Then I just need to come student info. I call Amma again equals, and I add the actual age. So now if I say student info, the value would have changed. So this is how we do it. Now let's try something else. Let's say complements. Let's create it from scratch. Complements A C. So let's just do it one here for the meantime. This is one. So if I want to add another one, then it becomes complements C A. Okay, let me do it again. There was an error here, I think. So if I want to add another information, let's say I want to add the complement of T. Now I have A and T. So it becomes complement. I bring my square brackets T equals A. Yeah, so now I can say complements. And then I will get that done. So this is how we add or we insert items into a dictionary. Okay, now you can also make a copy of an entire dictionary. If let's say you want to retain the original one and then make a copy and modify that, then you can also do that. Let's try with let's try with the student info again, because I think this works for everyone here. But sometimes you would like to retain the original one and then modify the copy, so that in case anything goes wrong, you can return or reverse the change by going back to the original one. So this is my dictionary. If let's say I want to make a copy of it, let me just say copy, or let's say dict copy. So because the dictionary object, which in this case is student info, now say dot copy. So this will make a copy. If I say dict copy, I have that copy. So now I can modify this copy, okay, and then leave the original one intact. So this is another way to make a copy, and you can now add your entries, add extra entries or add new entries, okay, in this particular one. So the original one remains intact. So that's how we add entries. Now let's look at another thing here. Yeah, there's something that I omitted. I think I'll have to do that here. Let's come here. Getting the value of a key. Yeah. So let's look at it. So when you want to get the value of a key, we use this approach, but sometimes this approach can give you error. Now let's look at this situation. Let's look at student info. Here, let's just create it again. Let's do it here. I think this will be approach 1. I'll add this here. I think I should have. Let me do this. So let's take a look at this situation here. Now I have this one here. Let me use this one here because I think this is still better. So I have this here. Let's just say I have this dictionary objects here. Now let's say I want to look for information from another student, and the student does not exist. Let's just say student info. Let's say John. Let me issue this command. So if I do that, I'll get key error. Okay, I'm getting key error. Okay, so this is one behavior of dictionaries when you use this approach to look up items. So there's an approach that you can use to prevent this error from coming up. So that's what we are going to look at next. So that will be here. So that approach, we use the get. Do it again. So if let's say I want to get information for, let's say, John, I can say student info dot get, and then I bring my brackets, this time not a square brackets, a bracket like this, and I'll say John, and then I'll execute this command. So nothing will be returned for me. So if the key does not exist here, then nothing will be returned to me. Okay, it is none. So that's the other approach to prevent or to avoid getting the key error that you get when you use this first approach. Okay, so that's for approach 2. Now let's look at the next activity. We are getting to the deleting entries in a dictionary. Okay, so let's proceed. So deleting entries in a dictionary. So we can delete an entry, we can delete multiple entries, we can also delete all entries. So we will start with an entry first. That is one entry. Let's do that here. I'll add an entry here. So I'll say delete an entry. I'll do that here. I'll say, let me create a dictionary. Yeah, I'll use the student info again to just create it again. Yeah. So let's say I want to remove information for, let's say, Michael. This one entry. Then I can just say del, and I'll specify the dictionary, which is student info. Then I bring my key, which is Michael. So now if I query for the dictionary again, Michael is gone. Okay, so this situation here, removes with an experiment. And that is why sometimes you need to make a copy and work on that copy before you can do any other stuff. Okay, so let's continue. So now we are down with an entry. So if you have multiple entries, how do you do it? Let's check. If you have multiple entries, let's see. Now let's just use this again. I'll be using that a lot. So let's add, say, John. I'll add this. Yeah. So let me just do student info. So let's say I have this one here, student info. I have this, and I want to remove or delete multiple entries. Let's say I want to delete, let's say, Michael, Kwabena, Kwame. Then I can use a loop. So let's say to delete, I can create a list first. To delete equals Michael, Kwabena, Kwame. I can do that, and then that will be my list. So after that, I'll issue a loop statement. So I can say for key in to delete, I bring a comma, and I'll say del student info key. So I'll run this command. If I do that and I issue student info, I'll see that those keys have been removed along together with their values. So there's one way to do. There are other ways to delete multiple entries, but then I'll cover that in details in another tutorial, because nowadays for beginners, so I want to make things as simple as possible. But there are other ways, there are faster ways to remove or delete multiple entries from a dictionary. So just take note of that. Now, what about if you want to delete all entries? If you want to delete all entries, that's simple. Let's try this. Now this time let's use the complements. I'll use this to show that example. Let's check. If I want to delete all entries, then it will have to be this. First of all, let's just display it. So I will just say complement.clear, and this will remove everything. So now if I say complements, everything is gone. This change is irreversible, so take note of that. So that's how we delete or remove all entries from a dictionary. Okay, perfect. Now we are in the main show now. You are going to love this. This is so cool. An application of dictionaries in bioinformatics. So we are going to look at how to find a complement of a sequence. So let's do this. Guys. So to find a complement of a sequence, we will use loops as well. So we will have to get our information for the basis, and we also need to use a loop. So first of all, let's get the information basis. Let's use this one here. Yeah, let's create a sequence first. So there's a sequence. Let's say AG TCCAT. Let's do this, something like this. Just keep it simple. I'll use this one. That's simple. So if I have my sequence like this, first I need to get the information, the complement for each nucleotide. A is T, T is A, G is C, C is G. Perfect. So once I have this, then I can issue my loop statements to aggregate all of them together. So that's what's going to happen. I'll show you different approaches. So that's what we do first. So let's look at approach one. I've already covered this in details. Okay, find a complement of sequence. I've covered it in details in another tutorial. So in that tutorial, I show different approaches. So check the description box. You'll find a link to that video. This is just to start. Okay, this to introduce you to it. So to do that, I can say, let me just say approach one, which is the longer one. So I'll first say complementary sequence, which will be what? Empty. And then I'll do an iteration. I'll use a loop. So I can say for base in sequence. I'll say complement equals what? Complement and then a base. And then I'll say complementary sequence plus equals this plus equals complements. That is how we do it. So let's just check it again. Base in sequence. So we are creating each of these bases here. Then you look it up here. That's what we have here. Then the value you get, you add it to the sequence. So let's run this. So now let's query, let's say complementary sequence. Now we will get it here. Okay. So we have that here. Now let's just print them. Let's say complementary, let's say sequence. Let's say print complementary sequence. So we have this. So you can manually check and then just confirm. So that's how we get the complement of a sequence, okay, with the help of dictionaries. So there's one approach. The other approach is to use a list comprehension, which is very short approach 2. That one is very short. So that's how it's going to be. Complementary sequence equals, I bring my square bracket and I'll say complements base or base in sequence. And then I'll say complementary sequence equals empty string dot join complementary sequence. So let's run this. So now I can query for it. I can display it. And then I'll get my complementary sequence. Okay, so this one is straightforward and it's fast. But then as a beginner, I will advise you to start with this one, or just go and watch that video where I explain things in details, and then you understand how these ones can be done. Now, if you have lots of sequences, then you need to create a function to do this. So finding the complement of multiple sequences, you need to create a function. So I will do that. That will be the last activity. For that one, I'll use this one. Functions. I've covered function in another tutorial, so you can also check the description box for the video on that to go deeper. Okay, I give a detailed explanation of functions and how you can reuse them. So let's say def find complements. You put in a sequence, and then here we are going to define a number of things. We need to first get this. I'll put that here, and then I'll now come back and add this. I'll add these two here. At the moment, I'm doing a copy and paste because it's basically the same thing, but I'm just putting them here so that I can reuse them. So the same thing here. And then here I can choose to say return complementary sequence. So basically, this is how it's going to be done. So whenever I want to find a sequence, I just have to call this function, and then everything will be done. So the sequence here now becomes a placeholder. I'll run this first, and then I'll just create some sequences. So let's say I have sequences. Let's say AG. Let's just use short ones. Yeah, this is better. So this is a list. So I have to bring an equal sign here first, so that we have our sequences. So now what I can do is to, let's say I want to get the complementary sequence of this one, or sequence that is complementary to this one. I can just say find, it's supposed to be here. I can say find complements, and I bring my brackets, and then I indicate that sequence here. I'll execute it, so I'll get the complements. You can assign this whole operation to a variable because of this return statement. So try that and see. Now, if you have multiple sequences like this, then you can just say for sequence in sequences. Then I can say print find, or I can, let me just say complements equals find complement. I'll indicate the sequence. I can print it here. So let's run this. So you will see that everything will be done for us nicely. So you can check and then verify what we have here. Okay, so this is how we use dictionaries to find sequences that are complementary of. This is how we use dictionaries to identify or to find sequences that are complement to our sequences of interest. So try your hands on them. So this is how I bring this tutorial to an end. But before we go, I also have this here that you can use to practice. This is basically a summary. I think I'll just correct this one here first for you. Yeah, and then that'll be it. So just go to my Patreon channel and you get access to this notebook, and then just play around with it. So that'll be all for this tutorial. So next week I'm going to make another Python tutorial. So just join me on another live stream next week. So every Tuesday I try to do a Python programming tutorial. So just join and then learn something new. So that'll be all for this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and then see you next time. Goodbye.